If you own an RV that's less than a year or two old, heck, even older than a couple of years, have you ever pulled out your warranty, and read it completely and understood it completely? I mean, looking at it not from your standpoint, but through the eyes of maybe the manufacturer. I'll bet most folks have not. I've been told by my friend Ron Burdge, an RV lemon lawyer who's been suing manufacturers for more than 30 years, that RV owners would probably be better off if there were no factory warranties at all. Seriously. I know that sounds odd, but Ron is a smart man with a ton of experience, and he's up now with some thoughts and advice that many of you may or may not believe is worth considering. Let's get started. Ron, I think there are so many people that are learning the importance of reading paperwork and understanding that an RV is not the same as a car or a truck when you buy it. Can you talk a little bit about that? If I'm a first-time RV owner, or maybe I've had my RV for a year or two, and I really haven't read the paperwork. How is the automotive industry so much different from the RV industry? What am I getting ready to find out if I have an issue?
Well, what you're about to find out is that as long as you can schmooze your way through the dealership or the factory to get things done, you're doing good. But as soon as anybody starts talking about your warranty says this, that, or the other, you're probably going to have a problem because you've got to read that stuff, the paperwork, the warranty, the sales paperwork carefully before you actually sign into everything. Because once you've signed off on it, it's yours no matter what it says.
What kind of an issue, what kind of a problem can I find myself in? I mean, I know that you do this all the time. You deal with people that said, I didn't know that. But what kind of
Probably,
issue?
no, there's lots of them that can get out there, but probably one of the most common ones is when people actually intend to buy an RV for their personal use. And then somewhere along the way, somebody mentions that if they actually title it in one of these states where you can put it in a business sort of a name, then you can immunize yourself from any liability if you have an accident. And also, it'll be sort of titled like a business. You might be able to take tax advantages and you won't have to pay sales tax and all this other kind of stuff. And actually, that can work to a degree. But the problem is, a lot of these warranties inside them say that you're not allowed to do that or you lose your warranty or you lose most of your warranty. And you won't know that until the first time they find out that you actually have titled it that way. And then they tell you that, well, I'm sorry, we don't cover those kinds of titling situations. And then you're going to say, well, the dealer told me I could do it. And then they're going to say, well, we're not the dealer.
When is it time for me as an RV owner to contact a lawyer? When is it? What do I need to do before I go, you know what? Help me. What do I need to do? And when do I need to call a lawyer?
Well, it depends on each particular case, but as a general rule, if you've been in and out of the shop more than a couple of times, and if the RV's been in the shop being worked on or waiting for parts or whatever for anything close to around 60 days, then you're over the line. And at that point, you ought to be talking to a lawyer no matter when it is. On the other hand, if you go in and out of the shop and in and out of the shop, and you're having lots of times where there's repeated problems or new problems, but it never really amounts to a whole lot of days out of service. But when you get around that 9-month point, you need to find out for sure what your legal rights are and what you got to do. Because if you don't do the right steps at the right time before your warranty runs out, you may not be able to do anything about it legally after that. And then you're at the mercy of the factory.
What about if I have just 2 or 3 issues on my RV? Do I take it in every time I have just a couple of issues, or do I wait until, if there are 4 or 5 or 6 and the list gets longer? What are the pros and cons of going in several times versus just holding off and waiting until here's my list and get her fixed?
Well, the bad part about all that is if you don't report it within a certain number of days, and usually it's 10 or 14 days of when you had the problem, then that gives the factory the legal excuse to say, we don't have to fix it now. So you really need to try to get it in, or at least report it real soon after you notice the problem. And when you report it, if you call them, make a note of who you talked to, when you called, where you called, what they said. But the better choice is When you have a problem, call and make an appointment to get it in. You're better off trying. And then if they turn you down and say, well, give it another couple of weeks and let's see if it clears up or whatever, you at least registered the complaint. But just doing that isn't enough. You also need to write a short note, a letter, if you will, that identifies you, your contact information, the RV, the serial number, and what's wrong with it, and the fact that you called the dealer and what the dealer said, and then mail that to the factory. An email is not sufficient legally. You need to stick it in the mailbox, and then keep a copy of all that stuff. This is one of those Murphy's Law things. As sure as you do it, it'll all get worked out. And as sure as you don't do it, you'll wish you did.
This sounds so complicated. Why is it so complicated? Because, I mean, seriously, if I've got a problem with my F-150 pickup truck, I can just take it to the dealer and they fix the damn thing. But an RV, it seems like it's like this Rubik's Cube trying to follow all the rules and until you get it right. Am I overthinking this?
Oh no, you got it exactly right. And why is it like that? Well, you can thank your RV factory for that, because they all basically write their warranties in a way that protects them, not necessarily you. And that's one of the reasons I said that what you have to do as an owner is schmooze your way into getting work done. Because as soon as you start turning to the technicalities of things, it starts to get a little rougher on you.
So if I'm frustrated that it's taken too long, what I'm hearing from you is try to take the high road and be calm and don't freak out and don't take it out on the service writer, or I may end up paying for it in the long run.
There's a good possibility of that, yeah. What you got to do along the way when you're going to that long run is make your notes of what happens when you hear about anything, call the factory, in addition to calling the dealer to complain and ask what's going on. Make notes of all that stuff. And then right after you get off the phone talking to whoever you talk to at the factory, either send them an email and then print it out and mail that email as a letter too, or else then call the dealer and start over there and do it. But the idea is you have to make a record, and you have to make a record that you've got in your hands, not just emails that you send off and disappear into the wilderness.
But it seems like to me that I mean, just as an outsider, most of the time when you're contacted by people, they probably didn't do all these things during the 6 months or the year of that warranty period. Am I right? Am I wrong? And they have to go back and recreate? I mean,
you're right. You're right. A lot of times people don't. We all want to trust that things are going to get taken care of. We want to believe that you're not the one who's going to have the royal lemon, so to speak, that nobody wants to do anything about. So the problem is that if you don't kind of cover yourself and make sure you're protecting your interests along the way, you may end up having to talk to a lawyer and not have much evidence to prove what you say actually occurred. And it's that process that you're trying to preserve. You don't have to do that with your Ford pickup truck. You don't have to do that with your Chevy car. You don't have to do that with normal motor vehicles. And the reason is because they live up to their warranties without challenging you over every aspect of it.
well, isn't it also that a lot of times the dealers, they've sold so many RVs that they don't have the service bays and the personnel to do all the repair work that might be necessary. And so I have my RV and I just got to wait in line and wait and wait and wait.
Yeah, that is very, very true. The techs in the RV industry, there's just not enough of them, and not enough of them that know what they're doing to really enable the dealers to get somebody in and out pretty quick. And part of that also is the fact that the dealers have to expand facilities to be able to do that. Now, you can't sell a ton of RVs and then make people sit in line for 2 months, 3 months before they can get things fixed without running into legal problems. But the RV industry doesn't care a whole lot about that.
Now, personally, I'm not so sure that the RV industry doesn't care. In fact, I think they do care. They just don't seem to be moving very quickly in solving some of the issues in dealing with the amount of repair time and the loss of use of your RV for you and me. If you own an RV and it's still in the warranty period, it may be a good idea to go back and document the important issues or repairs or situations you've encountered with your RV, and do it now. Ron sometimes refers to this as creating a defect diary, and they can become invaluable if or when the time comes when you need it. One other thing, the part about schmoozing the dealer or the service writer. You may be saying, hey, man, that's ridiculous. I'm the customer. They should be schmoozing me. Well, guess what? You may be right, but experience tells me that when it comes to RV ownership, it pays to have a friend in the dealership big time. If you do business with an RV tech instead of an RV dealer, same thing. Treat them right, be respectful, hold them to their word, but go the extra mile and try and be understanding. You can, as they say, thank me later for that little recommendation. Finally, if you have any questions about RV warranties or lemon RVs, Ron's info is down in the description below. His firm even has a free evaluation if you think that you may have a lemon RV. Again, that's down in the description right down here. Thanks for joining me today. The Wingman is out of here.